She's My Prey by Celeste King, Episode 5.
I think I heard my own voice in my dreams.
I know what you mean. I think I started narrating nonsense.
Well, at least you sounded good doing it.
You didn't sound too bad yourself.
Samara, I had a great time last night. Thanks for suggesting we get the full, uncut first season from worlds-of-protheka.com.
And don't forget, we got it for 30% off using the code YouTube30.
How could I forget? You made sure to remind me about it every time we took a sip of that delicious wine.
Well, it was worth it. We got to enjoy a great story and save some money at the same time.
Can we do it again sometime?
Perhaps, only if we try more wine with less clothes.
This is episode 5 of Celeste King's She's My Prey. Chapter 24. Renem. The humans are yelling and the dark elves are charging, and it's more important to me to get away than to stay and fight. I make the decision quickly, picking Sadie up and throwing her on my back, taking off at my full speed to get away. I cannot have them grabbing her. The dark elves that came after us seemed more focused on the humans than on us, and didn't get a good look at me. This is beneficial because I don't want them hunting for Sadie. No matter what she thinks, she belongs to me now. Her blood called for me, therefore she is mine. It takes a little longer to travel back to my cave on foot with Sadie on my back, but the sky is still dark. She clings to me in a way that has my entire body thrumming with a warm energy. Once we arrive, I deposit her on the ground, and she scrambles away from me, panting and breathing hard, her cheeks red. "Are you ill?" I ask, uncertain as to what is going on with her. "I need a minute," she mumbles, stepping away with her hand over her chest. She takes in a few deep breaths, and I watch as the red leaves her cheeks. "I was scared," she says, explaining herself, "and freaking out. And you threw me on your back and ran so fast that it was overwhelming." As she explains the emotions, I try to listen carefully, taking note of the expressions on her face and the way her body reacted in turn. I do not understand fear. I've seen it in others, but it makes no sense to me. Why would I ever feel anything akin to fear? I can overpower any threat and overcome any attack. "You need not fear anything with me," I tell her. "I can protect you from anything." "Thanks," she breathes out a sigh and her lips curve upward. "What's that?" I ask, tilting my head. "What's what?" "Your lips, what are they doing?" "Oh," she bites down on her lower lip. "It's called a smile. It means I'm happy, I guess. Grateful, really. I'm grateful that you got us away from the dark elves." "I see." I've never seen a smile before. Every person I've encountered has either worn a grimace or a frown on their mouths. Those I understand. "You have a lot to learn about emotions," Sadie remarks as she walks over to my cave to sit on a log and rest. "Why don't you understand emotions? Surely you've experienced happiness before. Or pain." "I heal quickly," I tell her, walking to stand near her. "I don't mean physical pain." She shakes her head. "Like when someone does something to upset you." Then I eliminate the threat. I stare at her, not understanding her questions. "Well, what if it was a threat you couldn't eliminate?" she presses. "Like what if they took something from your cave and ran away, something that was important to you?" I stare at her, uncomprehending. "What exactly are you?" she asks, wrinkling her brow. "You're different from the dark elves. You don't look like anything I've ever seen before." "I am Wyra," I tell her. "What's Wyra?" "It's me. I don't know how to explain it. We are small in number. Only male, ancient." "Oh, She makes a little noise. "Do you find me a monster?" I ask. Many have called me that. It hasn't ever bothered me before. I like that they are afraid of me. But for some odd reason I find myself worried that Sadie views me as such. "I don't know," she says. "You kidnapped me from my wedding. You dragged me off. But you've also protected me and you got me all that stuff from the city. I would do anything for you," I tell her. Why? I don't have an answer. She seems hesitant about asking any more questions, so I busy myself with setting up her bed and her things. The things that humans need, I remind myself. After a few hours, Sadie's stomach makes the noise again, but she does not reach for the cans. When I ask her why, she doesn't give me much of an answer. You would like me to hunt for you? I ask, checking. Could you? She asks, nodding her head up and down. The food here is good, but my belly craves something warm and fresh. I can do that, I tell her. I will be gone for only a quick hunt. Okay, she says, that strange smile on her face once more. I leave and capture a fat little suru for her to eat, and when I return, she's sitting on the bed, reading one of the books I procured for her. Part of me is curious about the fact that she could have gotten away, but chose to remain while I was gone. How come you didn't leave? I ask, dropping the suru to the ground. I don't want to, she says simply, getting up to help me clean the suru up to prepare. We cook in silence together, Sadie showing me more about how she prepares food to eat. It's quite something, unlike even the cans, and definitely unlike anything I've done since I've only ever eaten my food whole. I like watching the way she works. Her eyes get focused on the task in front of her, and she is quiet and methodical with her movements. I also like how her eyes look. Her eyes are blue, different blue than the elves I've seen with blue eyes. Sadie's eyes are more like the color of the sky during a storm. When she's focused on cooking, though, they soften to almost the color of the sky on a clear day. As soon as she's done, she serves us both the food. Eating cooked meat is strange to me. It doesn't particularly taste better or worse, just different, a little softer. Thank you for getting us this suru, she says, tucking a strand of her brown hair behind her ear. She added some of the canned vegetables to the meal, making it into what she calls a stew. It's wet and more mushy than the meat I eat, but I don't mind since she's the one who cooked it. We continue in this pattern for the next few days, cooking together, cleaning up, and talking more about ourselves. I find out that Sadie and I both have no idea where we come from originally. It's strange, she says, sitting with me next to a fire to keep warm. To not know your own past, don't you think? I don't think about it, I tell her. I just live every day following my instincts. Like an animal, she murmurs. That makes sense. But you're intelligent too. I've noticed, she says, peering up at me from under long lashes. You've got intelligence far beyond that of a simple beast. I like her compliment. It makes me feel strange inside. We leave the next day to head to the river to fetch water, and I reflect on my time with her. It's much easier to talk to her now. She's much less demanding and more accepting of my company. Why do you not ask for more? I ask her as we walk at a much slower pace than I prefer to travel at. I would get anything you asked. I only asked you for that stuff to upset you, she says, cheeks going red. I've learned that is a sign that she is embarrassed or agitated when that happens. But you've been kind enough to do it, so I don't want to make you upset. You're kinder than most anyone I've ever met. That is truly unfortunate, I decide. I'm an instinct-driven creature. Kindness is unknown to me. If keeping you safe and content is kindness, I don't understand why anyone would prefer the company you had been keeping. Most don't, she admits. We do what we have to in order to survive in the bordello. As do I agree. Out of nowhere, a volley of arrows fly at us. Instinctively, I grab her and carry her away, hiding behind a line of trees. I'm not worried about the arrows, but Sadie cannot withstand the injuries. What's going on? Sadie asks, a tone in her voice that tells me she's anxious. The dark elves that were attacking us in the village have found us, I tell her, their scent clear in the air. All the color drains from her face, leaving her looking pale. I don't want to go back, she whispers to me. Please don't let them take me, Renem. I won't let them take you, I promise. She belongs to me anyway. Stay here. I will fight them off. I rush out from the tree line, heading straight for the dark elves. They shoot more arrows at me, which I duck, diving straight into their midst to start fighting them. There are 5. Not impossible, but I don't have time to hunt them one by one. I need to take them out quickly. Throwing myself at them, I start grabbing at dark elves, tearing off one's arm and using the bloody arm to beat back the next that attacks. I rip off another's head and aim for a third's throat when someone stabs me in the side, pushing the sword in deeply. Knowing that Sadie is waiting for me to return, I keep fighting on and take them out quickly. Only one is left, and I leave him alive to interrogate him. "Who sent you?" I demand, holding him by the throat. "Gandalf Rhiannorlo sent us," he says, gasping around my grip. "He and his son Indor are looking for Sadie. They won't let you keep her away from them." I finish him off and rush back to find Sadie peeking out from behind the tree. I'm quick to clean up the blood, worried that she will think of me as more of a monster if I don't. Despite my appearance, she comes up to me anyway, looking me over for injuries. I wave her off, the stab wound already healing. I like that she thought of me in that way. "We can no longer stay here," I tell her. "The elves are looking for you." She glances backwards in the direction of our cave. "Where should we go?" She tugs at her hair. "And will I ever be able to get away?" she mumbles, though I don't think she was asking me.
Chapter 25. Sadie. My body feels too heavy to keep going, and even after Renem lifts me into his arms, I know I won't be able to keep this up for much longer. We've already been going for nearly 2 days with little rest, and my body isn't made for it. I go limp against Renem's chest, my head lolling to the side. I'm exhausted, my limbs are sore and my joints are stiff. I've gotten no sleep despite Renem's best efforts to let me relax, and it is greatly affecting me. "Sadie." My name rumbles through his chest and I feel it more than I hear it. Or maybe that's just the delirium sinking in because my head is fuzzy and my senses are muffled. You are not acting. Well, I am not feeling well. I feel like this lack of sleep is going to be the thing that undoes me in truth. You do not travel often. I shake my head. Well, more like my neck gives out and lets it roll, but it has the same effect. Wasn't allowed to. I fight to curl up tighter against him, to relieve the pain lancing through my body. Nothing works. Renew sighs softly. I think he's picking up the habit from me, and it makes me want to chuckle. "You need rest." "Well, I can't get any like this," I snap. He stops walking and instantly I feel guilty. Lifting my head, I see him still looking forward, but I can tell from the shift of his jaw, which I believe is how it looks to purse your lips without the skin to do so, that he's thinking. I wriggle out of his grasp, needing to be back on my own feet again. I can't keep going on like this, I admit, pressing a hand against him. His fur is soft, and I run my fingers through it as I lift my head up to look at him. His eyeless sockets are already focused on me, and I try to be kinder as I say, "We have to come up with a new plan. We go to the city." I shake my head, not sure what he is thinking. My agitation rises, and I struggle to subdue it, knowing that I'm mostly irritable from lack of sleep, and not because of Renem. "That is dangerous. We need a plan of how we are going to be safe to survive, and going into the city isn't that. We need supplies." His voice is so calm, and for a moment I blink up at him, surprised how soothing his nature is now that we are alone. It still strikes me sometimes, how different he is than what I had expected. How this is the creature that kept coming back in my dreams, and I actually wanted to see him. It's like my mind had been telling me something my heart was not yet ready to accept. Chewing on my lower lip, I think it over. I am on the verge of gnawing on a tree limb, and I'm pushed to my limit with exhaustion. We need supplies, but what good will they be if we are caught? The city is the dark elves' domain. I shake my head, finalising my decision. If they are looking for me, they are going to set groups up there. It's where they'll expect us to go, and now it's the first place you want to head to. The city is not the dark elves' domain. Renem's voice dips down into a growl that reminds me of the first night we met. It is mine. They are no match for me. I open my mouth to point out that they have, in fact, proven to be worthy adversaries, but he lets out a harsh snarl that silences not just me, but the animals in the woods as well. Still, he doesn't scare me, and a small thrill runs through my stomach as I remind myself of the kind of danger I'm playing with. Again, my brain and heart are on two different pages because that danger excites me in a way it shouldn't. It's worth the risk, he huffs, bringing my mind back to the conversation and away from the heat that licked through me as I replayed that growl through my head. No, it's not. We left everything back in that cave, everything I had gathered for you. What will you do without more clothes? I tug at what I am wearing. I can wash these. He shakes his head as he huffs through his nose. You need more clothes. You like to be clean. Renem's voice turns gruffer the more aggravated he gets, and I shouldn't find it as cute as I do. I should find his predatory rumble terrifying, but instead, I find myself continuing to push him. I fight to suppress a grin. It's adorable how much he thinks of me, and while, at one point, I would have found it odd that he knows I like to keep things clean and orderly to manage my chaotic life, I find it more endearing now. I can make do with what we find out here. No. He cocks his head, his hands working, and I can tell he's struggling to work this out with me instead of just doing what he wants. It's clear as he shifts that he's considering just picking me up and taking off, but I appreciate that he fights the urge and says instead, I can. You cannot. Yes. No. It's more a roar than a word, and it's the first time that I step back, blinking at him like I've forgotten just how harsh of a beast he is. One with a temper that I've seen firsthand. So why am I more turned on than afraid? Because I've lived a very screwed up life. That's why. I can hunt, but you need food and clothes, things I can't get out here. I don't get a word out before he takes a prowling step forward, reaching for me, and while I'm trembling, I don't flinch as he latches onto me. Despite his glowing eyes and rough voice, I still find comfort as he runs his claws through my hair gently, something that looks like it would be impossible for him to do. I will keep us safe. I have kept you safe. But I can't make, only protect and hunt. We must go to the city. His gaze burns into my skin, and I know he's not going to relent. And more than that, he's right. Neither of us will be able to get everything I need out here. I need more clothes, warmer clothes, and food that won't be so difficult to catch or easily perish. So I nod, and he huffs out a relieved sigh. Okay, we'll go to the city. His body visibly relaxes, and he starts to stand, pulling away from me. Without thinking, I dart forward, grabbing onto his forearm. But we have to be fast. His massive head nods, and he crouches back toward me so that I feel enveloped by his body once again. His fur-covered hand brushes against my cheek as he catches the loose strands, and the slight huffs coming from the holes of where his nostrils should be tell me that he's trying to inhale my scent. Briefly, I wonder if that's why he keeps messing with my hair. We will. My heart stutters, and I can't tell if it's the way he's touching me or the thought of going back into the city. I'm so used to burying my feelings, but as I see the shift of colour between his ribs and his breath brushes against my skin, I know I can't with him. He doesn't have to tell me that he's smelling my fear. I'm scared to go back, I whisper, the words cracking as they scrape up my throat. I've never felt safe except with you. The words catch in my throat. But I don't think I have to say them. Not when he leans in close enough that my mind becomes muddled, and his voice drops to almost a deep purr that makes my stomach flip. I will always protect you, Sadie. Holy Moors, The 13 gods are going to have come up here themselves and peel me off the forest floor because I think I've turned into a puddle after that. My knees are actually trembling, and I have to remind myself to get it together before Renem notices. Though the way his jaw shifts makes me think he did. He almost looks like he would be smiling. If he had lips, that is. Great. My voice comes out strangled and I try to clear it. Let's go. To my surprise, Renem runs his hand down my arm and grasps my fingers. I wonder if he's seen others do it in the city or if it's just instinctual, like the way he keeps brushing my hair back. But I don't ask. I just savour the soft brush of his hair against my palm as we make our way toward the city. We're going back to the same area, he tells me as we approach western side of the city. The dark elves don't really go here anyway. My stomach twists with guilt. Too many humans. Venom leaks into the last word, but I don't care. I know that the items will be lower quality, all that they can manage, but it will be safest for us. We'll need a way to disguise you. Gods know what happened last time he tried to sneak through this city, and the people weren't even awake to see him. I start trying to come up with a plan as we approach the edge of low towns before anyone can see him, but Renem is faster than me. He darts forward and snatches a long, hooded coat off a line. Internally, I cringe. I know these people don't have much, but right now it's the jacket or my life, and I can't be too sorry. Renem wraps it around him, and the hood manages to slip over his horns. The sun is low enough so that I can't see through the shadows beneath, which is good. I doubt any of the people here will look his way, out of fear that he is an elf anyway. Through the folds of the cloak, he reaches for my hand, and I take it, ready to cross into the city. I want to be in and out of here, but just as we move out of the alleyway and onto the main pathway, Renem freezes. My heart stops in my chest as I look up at him. His hood is still facing forward, and his hand has stiffened. "What is it?" I force out, trying to keep it together. But when he doesn't immediately soothe me, my heart goes haywire. Because that can only mean one thing. He sensed something is wrong, and I'm scared to tear my eyes away from him because I know what I'll find.
Chapter 26. Renem. My eyes are focused on the corner where a dark grey face just disappeared. We had thought that this area was safest because it is mostly humans, but as soon as we broke out from between the buildings, I spotted dark grey skin, and not just any figure. One with black hair, skin nearly as dark, and eyes as bright as the moon. The very same one that I saw at the house where they kept Sadie. My instincts kick in before I can think, and I take a thundering step forward. My heartbeat rises, and it's all I can hear. My senses start to take over, my scent becoming more predominant as I inhale the sour taint of fear on the air. Heads are turning my direction, but my sight is going murky in favor of my scent and hearing, my best senses. Drool collects along my jaws as I think about snapping the dark elf's head between my teeth, and I start to lean forward toward my crouch. I move faster on all fours, and I plan on launching myself across the alley I can barely make out now, until the breeze shifts and something hits me. A scent I know, a calming, soft scent that pulls the hunger's claws from my brain and allows me to think again. And when it does, I realize that something is tearing at my fur, and a soft voice is hissing in my ear. "Renem!" Sadie sounds frantic, and I blink, shaking my head as I try to gain control of myself. "Renem, we have to get out of here." That, I couldn't agree with more. The feeling of another predator, of danger lurking nearby, still swirls in my gut. My instincts are never wrong, and my need to shred and protect hasn't diminished. "Get up!" My arm is jerked, though the movement is more because I'm not fighting her and less because of her strength. People are staring. We have to go to the shops before word starts to spread about the giant cloaked guy on his hands and knees. I let her shove me upward and turn back to look where that dark elf was. But just as I thought before, he's already disappeared. I barely got a glimpse of him before he was gone. Mostly to calm myself, I let my hand slide down the inside of Sadie's arm enjoying how her smooth skin feels against me. She doesn't pull away from my touch. Instead, she twines her fingers through mine, and I have the urge to nuzzle my face against the exposed skin of her neck and inhale her. But now is not the time. "What did you see?" she mumbles as we go, her head tucked down. I try to mimic her, but that doesn't stop the people from scurrying out of my path. Like Sadie said, though, I only see humans. And with her next to me, I manage to keep my hunger at bay as we wade through them. Nothing. My head turns back to check, the lingering feeling still shooting ice through my veins. It's nothing. She leads us into a shop where I stand in the corner, trying to look as unassuming as possible while she selects items. I slip the coins that I've seen so many dark elves use into her palm so that she could purchase them this time. We're both lucky that I've grown into quite a collector in the past years, and those coins happened to be with me when we fled. I swiped them in hopes they would be necessary, and I was right. Dark elves don't care for missing items, and I fear that my stealing alerts them to our presence. I don't want them to know that we've been here at all, and I refuse to draw more attention than I have already. When Sadie finishes, I swoop beside her, gathering the clothing and food in my arms and tucking it under the cloak, so no one else will see what was purchased. It would be another reason for their attention to be drawn. A human with too much. "Thank you," she tells the human behind the counter that is staring at me with wide eyes. Their fear taints the air, and I force myself not to breathe in so I won't be tempted to attack. "Let's go," I tell her as we try to blend back into the crowd, though it is difficult when I am nearly twice the size of everyone else. I just hope we can move fast enough that no one of importance notices us. But then I twist to see that Sadie is no longer by my side. My heart stops in my chest and I have to fight to keep my anger from consuming me too quickly. My immediate instinct is to tear through everyone around her to find her, but I try to use my mind instead. Her scent is still near, and I follow it around the corner we had just passed to see her standing still and staring at a run-down building. "What are you doing?" My voice comes out as a low growl, and I try to find the way my stomach twists. I do not mean to be harsh with her. "This building..." A harsh laugh draws my attention, and I lurch back at the first sight of dark skin. I hiss at Sadie, but she doesn't move as I try to blend into the shadows beneath the awning of the building. My eyes stay trained on her as a group of dark elves pour out of the shack that reeks of ale and piss, and lucky for us, they are too interested in each other, or too drunk, to care about much else. They pass right by us, and as soon as they are around the corner, I push off the wall I was pressed against and reach for Sadie. "Let's go," I demand, my voice leaving no room for argument. Except she doesn't listen. She takes a step toward the building that her eyes are set on, and I let loose a low growl. Sadie turns her bright eyes on me, the corners of her lips curling up, and she clutches at my fur. I try to ignore how much I love the way she tugs at the short strands. "Renem, can we go in there? Just for a minute?" "Sadie, we must go. You know this. No one will see us in there." Her eyes dart between me and the building. "I'll be fast," she pleads. Sucking in a deep breath, I already know that I am going to relent. Little does Sadie realize, I hope, that I will do anything for her. "Fast!" I grind out, and she lets out a squeal. I follow her as she takes off toward the building, her fast strides matching my long ones, and as soon as the door shuts behind us, I bristle. The dark elf has slipped out from between the shelves, which are crammed full of books that Sadie is already going for. The dark elf's mouth pulls up in a smile that doesn't set me on edge like the other ones I've seen. Even Sadie looks toward him, her body still relaxed as she surveys him. Normally she tenses at the sight of an elf, but she seems to sense he's not a threat, or maybe he's casting a spell to convince her to trust him. I step closer, trying to sense what magic is at work here, but I don't detect anything. I still don't let myself fully relax as he steps closer to us, looking at us without fear or anger. "Hello." His voice is smooth and it sets me on edge. "I'm Jorben and this is my bookshop." "It's lovely," Sadie answers for us, and my heart twists as she smiles at him. A growl fights its way up my throat. "Thank you for having us in." "You will always be welcome here, Sadie," he says, his eyes going to me. "You as well, Renem." My claws are out instantly, the supplies I'd been carrying dropping to the floor as I launch forward. I do not know this dark elf or how he knows his name, but I refuse to let him jeopardize us. "Renem!" Sadie's voice stops me as she grabs at me. "No! He knows us!" I growl in response. Clearly, she must see how he is a threat. "Put the claws away." I flick my eyes between her and the elf. Her eyes narrow, and I know that expression. She's growing angry with me, and though I want to rip the elf to shreds, I do not wish for Sadie to stop talking to me. Gritting my jaw, I drop my hand, huffing loudly enough for her to know it was not because I decided not to hurt the elf. Jordan laughs as I turn to pick the supplies up off the floor, making me want to slice at him again. "You are in no danger from me," he says behind him, "but you must leave now." I whip around, nearly dropping all the items again. The elf holds up his hands before I lunge at him. "It's a dangerous time to be here, but next time we will meet again." His eyes flick to Sadie. "And I'll answer your questions then." "What do you mean?" I take a step forward, hunching low as I ready to attack him. The door rattles behind us, and I whip around, not realizing it had been locked. The thin wood bends against the force, and what must be a fist slams into the other side. "Get out here, Jordan!" a male voice demands outside the building. "We know that you have 2 suspicious individuals in there." "Like I said, you need to go." The elf flicks his hand, and the tendrils of magic make my skin prick. With his hand still extended, pointing at a door I don't believe was there before, he says, "Next time." I snarl as the dark elf tries to walk past me. I don't trust him still, but before I can snap at him, Sadie is in front of me. "Stop. We have to go." He's helping us." Her nose flares and I clamp my teeth together. "Let's go." I nod, and we head to the door. At least the magic here doesn't feel wrong or sour, but I still fear what will help when we cross through. Sadie pulls it open, crossing over, and I follow after. As I turn to shut it, though, the door, the building, it's all gone. "Who was that elf?" Sadie breathes beside me. But I have a bigger question. Why is he helping us?
Chapter 27. Sadie. The door put us out in the woods closer to the bordello than I was comfortable with. Instantly, we both knew we had to find a place to stay before we were caught again. It was clear the dark elves were onto us back at the library, and the mountains up north were easily discovered. We couldn't go east back into the city, and our best luck was the detour we took through the forest after we were found, the last time. It seemed the best and only option we had. I hadn't expected it to take 3 days, though. I originally thought we'd trek far enough into the forest that we'd feel safe and we'd find a cave. But after a day, there was nothing. And on the second, I started to contemplate if we had misjudged the safety of the forest when it felt like we were walking in circles and out in the open. But now, on the 3rd day, we've changed our trajectory to move farther north. I'm growing tired of intermittently sleeping during the day on the forest floor, something that Renem is insisting on now after seeing how much the lack of sleep affected me last time. At least this time, we'd managed to collect enough supplies to keep me from losing it. I didn't realise how right he was about needing fresh clothes. That, the food, and the naps as Renem circles the clearing has kept me within my right mind, for the most part. Sadie. A soft purr next to my ear wakes me up, and I jerk upright, my body ready to react to whatever danger he's found. Renem was once that danger, but as I look up at his glowing sockets and skinless skull, I can only see the kindness that lies within him, especially as he pushes my hair back from my face. "What's wrong?" I'm still trying to push sleep from my mind, but he doesn't seem to have an urgency about him. That doesn't ease the churning in my gut, though I do know that if I were in immediate danger, then Renem would have scooped me up and ran. Nothing. The backs of his claws sweep over my cheekbones, and the yellow glow between his ribs flashes brighter. The sun is starting to set, and I want to show you a surprise before it does. My heart flutters. Out here, a surprise is not a good thing, but he says it so softly that I feel soothed. I let him help me up, watching him for any sign of what I am being led into. His jaw parts, the yellow swirling between his ribs, and I know now that he's smiling. I find the gesture very adorable at this point, and it eases my nerves a touch. "Where are our things?" I ask him, as he guides me through the trees. I don't see them gathered in the clearing where he had set them down. "You'll see." I can hear the excitement in his voice, and my stomach flutters in response. Curious, I search the woods for any signs of my surprise, and as we come around a bend, I see his gait change. I look harder, and through the trees I finally see what looks like a structure. "What did you do?" White slashes through the yellow of his heart, though I don't fully understand what that one means, and he hums under his breath a little. "I didn't do anything." I chuckle, wondering where he's heard that teasing tone, and knowing I must be guilty of it. "No?" He shakes his head as we break through the trees, and I spot a cottage up ahead of us. A smile breaks out across my face, and I look at him with excitement. "I found it while I was hunting." His chest shifts into a deep orange. "Do you like it?" "It's empty." "It is, and—" He pushes open the front door and lets me walk in before him. "It has a bed." A laugh escapes me and I turn around, throwing my arms around his torso and burying my head into the exposed fur of his ripped shirt. Beneath his fur, I can see the colours swirl between purple, yellow and white. I squeeze Renem harder. "Thank you." Gently he runs his hand down my hair, softly circling from the top of my head down to the middle of my back. "Let's get you in a real bed." I dip my head back to look at him. "I know that you tried to find us a cave, but I'm really excited to have a roof over our heads again." My eyes widen as something occurs to me. "Is there a bath too?" Renem steps back. "Go see." Giddy, I take off through the house to find a bathroom, and immediately I strip. It feels amazing to scrub my skin clean, and when I come out of the bathroom, I find him sitting on the floor. "What are you doing?" I snag my clothes and quickly slip on a loose tunic and soft shorts while he looks away. "Resting." He tilts his head back against the wall, and I sink on the bed. It's been a while since he's properly slept. Well, really slept at all, and his chest has shifted to a deep blue as the glow of his eye sockets dims. On the floor, the red glow of his eyes flicks back brighter, and I feel guilty for waking him when he's clearly exhausted. "Where else?" I look down at the bed and back at him. It should be large enough for him to be comfortable on, and while I have never shared a bed with anyone else, I can't stand the thought of him on the floor. "Up here." The shift of blue to orange draws my eye as he cocks his head. "On the bed?" I nod slowly, swallowing. "But you are on the bed." I shrug. "That doesn't mean you can't be on it." Slowly, Renem shifts forward, though I can see the hesitancy in his movements. Even as I move over to give him the majority of the bed, he shifts uncomfortably and ends up teetering on the edge. Rolling my eyes, I pull the blankets back and climb under. "You don't have to be so far away." The sheets rustle as he comes closer, and I consider snuggling into him. I'm not sure if that will be pushing things too far, though, so I close my eyes. But it's hard to sleep next to someone who is so stiff that I can feel it coming off of him in waves. I open my eyes to see his chest bright orange with streaks of violet, and the red of his eye sockets focused on the ceiling. "Renem." He shifts to look at me. What are you thinking about? My cave. You miss it? Waira are territorial. His voice is soft, though, and I can tell that it was something that he cared about. I will find another. I want a house like this. I think I'd like to live outside of the city and have a little garden of my own. It would be nice to actually get to do things I enjoy instead of going to lessons for men I don't want to please. Renem brushes a lock of my hair back, and I press into his hand. Your dreams are my dreams, Sadie. My breath catches in my throat. One day I will give you a house bigger than this with a garden and whatever else you wish for. My heart somersaults, and I feel the heat rush to my cheeks. Why did that promise sound like it was about more than just the house? It sounded like it was a guarantee of us. He shifts farther on his side, his hand still cupping my cheek, and he leans in to whisper to me. I am curious about something. The yellow glow pulses with his words. When humans sleep together on the bed, what do? I roll my bottom lip between my teeth as I look away, uncertain of what to say. Renem's innocence strikes me hard right then, and I blurt out the truth, having grown so numb to the sexual desires of this world that I don't consider simplifying it. If they aren't sleeping, they are usually pleasuring each other. The bed's the most comfortable place for intimate things. He cocks his head, his jaw shifting and his chest colouring pink. What are intimate things? I sigh softly, not sure how to tell someone who has never witnessed the sexual interests that seem to run rampant in the city. It's never something that had to be explained to me, something that was so prevalent that I knew. But I am still a novice in this. I may have learned from the madam, but I have never experienced what he is asking me about. And with Renem, I'm not sure my words are the best way for him to understand. My heart starts to stutter as I consider a better way to teach him. Though I know Renem has been after me for a while, I wonder if this is what he wanted from me. Will he be repulsed by my advances? Is it something that would occur to a creature like him? As the back of my claw brushes across my skin, I find my whole body heating up. I want to show him, and while it may backfire, I decide that I should go for it. I run a hand up his chest, twisting my fingers in his fur as I lean in closer. I might be crazy for considering this, for wanting a monster with no skin and a need to kill, but he's been kinder to me than anyone ever has. I don't care if he has claws and no face. He has a true heart, and that's all that matters to me. Leaning in, I take away the space between us until we are nearly touching. I can feel the heat radiating from his body, and it's so warm that I want to press myself against him. Sourly, I lean in and brush my lips along the bone where his cheek would be, and he stiffens. His hand on my face stills, and I glance down to see that his chest has turned a deep violet. My body starts to shake, but I don't let that deter me as I lean in, nuzzling my nose between his nostrils as I brush my lips across the space just above the top row of his teeth. Renem's breath catches, and electricity shoots through my veins as I pull back to stare up at him. His whole body is locked, and the excitement of feeling him against me starts to fade, replaced with a violent nervous energy instead. I can't read his expression, and fear floods me as I wait to see how he reacts. How terribly wrong have I just gone?
Chapter 28. Renem. I stare down at Sadie, unable to move. My heart seems to be moving at a much faster pace than usual. Her lips press against my face, the place where mine would be if I had lips too. Her mouth lands near my jagged teeth, kissing next to it. The feeling it gives me is indescribable. I want more. I mimic the way her mouth grazes mine, but press my mouth against her cheek, nuzzling into it. She moves her mouth, pressing it once more against my skull, near the hinge of my jaw. I don't know what I'm doing, but I attempt to follow her lead, chasing the sensation in my belly that tells me I like this. Is this how humans act when they're in bed together? Sadie said that they perform intimate acts. Is this an intimate act? Sadie's arms reach up, tugging me down towards her. There's quite a difference in our height, so I have to contort my body a little to match hers. Sadie makes a little noise in the back of her throat that gives me a rush of feelings inside, things I can't name. Not knowing what I'm doing, I accidentally bite down a little too hard and she squeaks, pushing me away for a moment, but instead of trying to get away from me entirely, she strokes nimble fingers down my chest, brushing down to my ribs, where a soft yellow color pulses out from. I like the way her hands continue to move down my body, pulling me closer to her. One leg wraps around my waist and draws me into her, our bodies pressing tightly together. The heat that radiates from her is intoxicating. It feels similar to the way I feel when I'm drunk on the fear of my victims. But better, because I don't feel so mindless. Though my first attempt was clumsy, I'm picking up what Sadie likes quickly. She likes when my hands move down to cup her jaw, moving it to the side to nip my teeth against her neck. She also likes when my tongue darts out and traces patterns on the skin of her collarbone and shoulders. The sensations are heady, and I feel on the verge of losing control. I have to hold back so I don't hurt her. I can't control the way I'm feeling. It's so much more than I've ever experienced before. Carefully, I move down to rub my face on her neck, drawing more little gasps and moans from her that drive me even more crazy inside. Her body writhes against me, a new scent coming from her. It smells even more warm than before, like a fire is building up in her. "You smell divine," I growl out, nuzzling her neck again. She kisses the side of my skull once more, dragging her lips over it as she mouths at me. "You smell amazing, too," she whispers, "like the woods." Her chest is pressed against me, and I reach down to cup one mound of flesh. "This isn't like the dark elves' chests," I tell her. "What is this?" It's soft and supple under my fingers. "My breasts," she says, her cheeks going red again. "Embarrassment? I like it when you touch them." "I like your breasts," I tell her, continuing to fondle and grope at them, intrigued by the way they feel as I explore them. They mold themselves to my hands, then the flesh bounces back into shape as soon as I move my hand away. If you want to join me as I explore and discover Sadie's perfect body, I'm sorry to say it won't be here on YouTube. The last thing I want to do is put this on pause, and I know you feel the same way. So go to worldsofprotheka.com and get the unabridged version of this audiobook, countless others, and even the ebooks and bundles, where every new discovery is left uninterrupted. Using discount code YouTube30, you can get 30% off of all Worlds of Protheka digital products. Let's pick up where the intimacy leaves off. Holding back is getting too hard at this point. I want to do more, to let go of my careful control so much that I fear what will happen if I stay here one more moment. I'm understanding now what intimate acts are, but I can't let go with her. With a deep breath, I pull away. Her face looks downcast, and I tilt her chin up to look at me. "I need to get some fresh air," I tell her. "You're driving me crazy. I don't want to push you past where you are comfortable, nor do I want to hurt you. Just let me breathe for a moment." "Okay." She nods, her body flush and her chest heaving as she takes in deep breaths. "I understand." Leaving her alone, I venture outside in the fresh, cold air to clear my mind. Sadie does things to me that I've never felt before. I've always relied on instinct, but if I were to do that here, I could very well push her past her limits and hurt her. Pacing for a moment, I realize I already miss being surrounded by Sadie's warmth. Her body was so warm and it made me feel good. I liked it. I want to feel that way again, but I can't go back without risking hurting her. What does it mean that I feel this way about her? What is the feeling that makes me want to stay away right now? I should go back and take what is mine, shouldn't I? But if I go back, there is no telling what might happen between us. What if I was to hurt her? Casting about for answers, I trek away from the area for a distance. The closer I am to Sadie, the more my instincts want me to go back to her, to cover her body with mine and bring our bodies closer than close. I stare up at the sky for a long moment. I can't risk it. I would upset her if I were to let go of my control right now. My eyes glow red with the thought of doing something that makes her look at me with the same fear that she used to look at me with when I first found her. The forest has no answers for me. The person I need to ask about all this is Sadie. She understands emotions and feelings in a way that I don't. Can I ask her about this, though? She seemed to give off the signals that she was nervous at the idea of me losing control with her. It would be better to keep myself in control for her sake, and to stay away right now. At least until I've eliminated the desire to lose my control with her. Her body is incredible. She's lithe and willowy like a sapling, but there are rounded places as well, at her chest and hips. It felt as though I was touching the cosmos themselves when I touched her. I looked down again and let out a gasp. My chest is now glowing a vivid dark violet color. What could this possibly mean? What is the feeling that this has brought up? Not once have I ever seen myself glow this color. Is this a good thing or a bad thing? Orcs. Gargoyles. Vampires. Ice monsters. Demons of the dark. These beasts seek war, destruction, and power. And there's only one thing that can tame them.
Love.
This is your chance to get the uncut and unabridged audiobook bundle.
No detail is spared.
Use discount code YouTube30 for an additional 30% off of the already discounted price.
Go to worldsofprotheka.com.
Get access to countless audiobooks and discounted bundles where I talk you through every last scene.
Protheka's magic is eternal. Audio bundles will make it immersive. Chapter 29. Sadie. Renem doesn't come back to the cabin for a long time, and when he does come back, he pretends like nothing has happened between us. Gods, fine. If he's going to pretend nothing happened, so will I. Maybe he's overwhelmed like I am. Maybe he doesn't even understand what was happening between us. I can't ask him about it because he seems to not want to acknowledge it himself. Well, whatever happened, maybe it was because we were both just confused. We've spent a lot of time together in close-knit quarters, so it was only natural to feel a little spark of lust between us, right? But I'd never viewed him in any kind of sexual way before. Why did I see him that way now? I feel like I'm going just as crazy as him when I try to wrap my mind around it. The man is a walking, monster-like creature with a skull for a head. Why is it that I want him, and yet felt nothing but contempt for Indor, who is objectively more handsome? It's because of his kindness. My brain supplies to me as I close my eyes to drift off. Indor wanted to possess me, but he wasn't kind about it. He bought me and forced me into his social structure. But Renem, he may have told me that I belong to him, but he's tried to take care of me. I can tell that he does things for me because he wants me to be happy. I'm not just around to cater to him. The thoughts swirl around in my head, comparing the two of them and how different they are as I start falling asleep. I end up having a strange dream that the two of them get into a sword fight over me. And when I wake up, Renem is awake and fixing up more of the cabin. There's a hole in the roof, and he's patching it up. "Hello," he says to me when I come out of the bedroom. "Going hunting today? Would you like some breakfast?" "Sure," I say. He shows me that he made cooked porridge for me, and it's sitting on the counter. I smile and sit with him to eat it. "I'm going to clean the cabin a little more today," I tell him as I eat. "I like it here. It's very nice and cozy." I know that it shouldn't be awkward between us, but it feels awkward between us right now. Renem doesn't fully understand the breadth of human emotions yet, so I can't tell if he's uncertain about what happened or if he's simply moving on from it. Either way, we say little more as I finish eating, and he takes his leave to go hunting. I still don't really like the way he gets his food, but at least he's been polite enough to do it far away from me. While he's gone, I find a scraggly little broom in a cupboard in the cabin and begin to sweep all the dirt up and wipe up the mess with soap and water. I strip the old sheets off the bed and replace them with fresh ones that we bought from town. These sheets are an airy blue colour with tiny rizrid blossoms all over. The quilt has been bartered for some of our canned goods. It's a nice deeper blue that matches the colour of the rizred blossoms. My next move is to arrange all our things out so that we have easy access to them. I place a few plates in the cupboards and arrange the clothing in the wardrobe. Soon enough the cabin is clean and tidy, and my heart feels full as I glance around. There's a few more touches that we need before the place feels more like a home, but I can't believe I'm lucky enough to be living here right now. Renem comes back and I excitedly grab him and show him what I've done. It's almost perfect, I tell him. Almost? We need a few more things. We don't have any cups and we need more linens for the bed. Not to mention that there isn't anything to dry off with after bathing. We can't go to the city yet, Renem says. It's too soon. I know, I say, but my eyes look up at him with a wide, pleading look. I stick out my lower lip, trying to get him to understand how badly I want to go. But if we go, we can visit Jorben again. Aren't you curious about him? I am. And we can go to a bookshop and get some more books that can help you understand emotions, I point out. He's been eager to understand what emotions are and how to identify how he feels, and I've realised that more than teaching him, I can show him through books. They offer an amazing look into the full spectrum of ways that people feel. And he can even experience new emotions that he may not have ever experienced too. He looks at me for a long moment, as though debating himself internally. Would it make you happy? He asks, as though uncertain. Yes, I tell him, latching onto his arm. I would be very happy to go back to the city. I like seeing you like this, he admits to me. You make the world very bright and colourful to me. It makes me feel things inside that I'm not used to feeling. I smile at him, and suddenly the glowing colour of his heart shifts, changing from red to a vivid, bright yellow. What is that? I ask. I've noticed that happening sometimes. What's what? Your heart. It changed from red to yellow. I don't know, he says, tone flat. I'm guessing he's never really thought much about it and doesn't care, based on his lack of response. Well, let's see. I think I've seen it glow blue before when you're asleep. Red seems to be the standard colour for you, but this yellow, I've been seeing it more. It was yellow when you kissed me. I think it means you're happy, I tell him, a wide grin on my face. Happy is when I am warm. He understands what it looks like on me, but not what it is to experience it. Yeah, happiness is like, you feel good all over. Everything seems right with the world, and that's why the colours seem brighter and more vivid. Yes, I feel happy, he agrees. You make me feel happy, Sadie. I want to know what the other colours mean, I tell him. Then maybe we can try some things out to bring them up, and we can discover more of your emotions together. That would be helpful, he says. But it has been a long day already, and we should leave soon before nightfall hits. Oh, we're going today? I ask, squealing inside. I've been looking forward to this. I want to meet Jorben again. Who is he and how did he know us? Why was he so eager to meet us, and what was all that about at his shop? It would be nice to see him again and get some answers. Is he on our side? I have been trained for a long time to read others' emotions and instinctively know how to respond to them, as part of my training at the bordello. And when we were there, I got a little bit of a read on him, and he seemed mostly trustworthy. I'd like to go back so I can take another crack at reading him, to know for certain if we can trust him or not. Plus, it would give me the opportunity to get things for our home. I've always dreamed of having a place like this, my own place to call home. Something that is just mine and doesn't belong to someone else, especially someone who wants only to possess me and not to care for me. Having this place feels like a dream come true, and I'm eager to make it the perfect space for us. The windows need a good polish, so I'd like to pick some window polish to clean them. Not to mention that we have no towels and only one set of linens. This place is going to look amazing by the time I'm done with it. I can feel it in my bones. I'm going to make this place my own safe haven to share with Renem. He's determined to have me as his mate. He's said as much already. I don't know about all that, but I do know that he's protected me from the dark elves that have come after us, and he's going to keep protecting me as long as I want him to. And so I'd like to make this place a comfortable space for him as well. It's only fair after everything he's done for me. I want to get him things that might evoke more emotions out of him as well. Books, of course, but maybe small pieces of art. What else would he like to have to make him feel good, or even happy again? I rush around getting ready, changing out of my dirty clothes into something more comfortable for travelling. Pulling on a white dress with long sleeves, I pair it with a light brown full-size apron that covers the majority of the dress. The apron has a pretty little fungi embroidered on it. It's what caught my eye in the first place at the market where we bought more clothing for me. When I'm ready to go, I come back out of the bedroom and Renem eyes me up and down, the glow in his heart pulsating even brighter. I smile. He likes how I look, I believe. It makes me feel shy and happy inside. "Let's go," he says, tone solemn. "But stay close to my side. I can feel something in the air, and I'm never wrong." I shiver, not knowing exactly what he means but trusting his instincts anyway. What's waiting for us out there? Would we be safer staying home? But Renem can protect me, so I'm not too worried. I take his hand. What's the worst that can happen with a wearer by my side?
Chapter 30. Renem. We head to the city my way, taking the fastest route. Sadie seems not to mind traveling on my back if it gets us there quicker, though she often likes to travel on her own 2 feet from time to time. I prefer to take as few steps to get there as possible, though, so I like that she doesn't argue with me when I propose it right now. When we arrive, I pull on my cloak and we head straight for the marketplace so Sadie can get the things she wants for the cabin. I am indifferent to the way it looks, but Sadie seems to take immense pride in buying the things she requires for our home. "Stay close to me," I remind her, squeezing her hand as we dive into the crowd. We wander a little, stopping here and there for her to admire things from the stalls. She picks a few out that she stops at to bargain for things and gets a few items for the home. I watch her from under the cover of the traveling cloak I'm wearing to conceal my appearance. She seems excited, I think. At least that's the emotion I would call it. Her smile is bright, and her blue eyes shine. Does she really want a home that much? It feels good that I can provide that for her. It makes me feel happy, like Sadie told me about. I want to make her happy every single day. Is there something more I can do in order to make that same happy look come on her face every day at our home? Maybe I can find something special for her to add to the home? I glance at her now. She is gesticulating wildly as she talks with a merchant right now, arguing with him over the price of a quilt. He seems agitated from his body language, arms crossed, a frown on his face, but she has her hands on her hips and is shaking a finger at him. She's upset, but there is something about the way she's upset that makes me think that it's like a hunt for her. The same rush that I get when cornering prey. Interesting that hunting for prey and hunting for things for the home give the same sort of energy to us. It makes me feel strange. Almost like pride. But a pride for Sadie, not for myself. Am I proud of her? I would consider her my mate, so it makes sense that I would feel pride towards her, I suppose. I'm still thinking this over when a flash of movement catches my eye. When I glance towards the movement, I spot the dark elf from before. He has the same long dark hair and the same unnerving smile that gives me an almost itching sensation down my spine. I don't like him, and every instinct inside of me is telling me he's a threat, and that threats need to be eliminated. I glance back at Sadie, who is now done with her bargaining, and is grinning while exchanging coin for the item she was trying to buy. If I go back to her to tell her what's going on, the dark elf might get away, so I decide to go after him. I still have a clear view of Sadie, and I won't be very far away. Using my speed, I rush over to the spot where I saw him, but he seems to have disappeared into the crowd. By the deceiver, where did the little rodent go? And who is he? Why has he been lurking around us? Is there some connection there between the other dark elves who hunted us down? I can't let him bring harm to Sadie. Maybe it's time to track him down and eliminate him once and for all. Bending down, I crouched to pick up a trace of his scent, trying to follow his tracks. I head in the direction I sent, but the trail seems to disappear at some point, muddied up by the surrounding scents of the other market-goers. Damn it, I growl. I feel the irritation rising inside me. It's more frustrating than losing the scent of a small animal I'm tracking when it crosses a stream. I can't let him get away, so I decide I need to double down and search the nearby woods. Rushing back to Sadie, I plan on telling her I'm going after the dark elf and tell her to go to Jorben's shop to hide. However, when I arrive back, she's nowhere in sight. Sadie, I call out softly, trying not to attract attention. She doesn't answer. I move a few stalls down, trying to see if she moved on from the one she was at, but there's no sign of her. Gods! Where is she? Did she run off? I've only been gone for 2 minutes. She wouldn't run off. I believe that with my whole being. She would never leave without saying something to me. The other possibility has something overtaking me inside that I can't name. My heart is beating faster. I feel as though I cannot breathe, and I want to tear this entire place apart. Even my stomach is feeling the effects, wanting to vomit up the contents like I've eaten rotting flesh. She might have been taken, and I think I'm feeling the effects of fear. I need to track her scent. I can pick it out of a crowd easily. Starting from the front end of the market, I retrace our steps and bend down, getting the traces of her scent from the path we've trod. She and I started at the front, where she stopped at a clothing stall to admire some fine garments for a moment. Then we went next to a stall that sells linens, so she could haggle for a new set of sheets for the bed. After that, we took a moment for her to look at some gleaming metal jewels before moving on to the stall she was at, where she started bargaining for the quilt. The scent fades out here, then picks up a few stalls down. She must have come here to look at the leather bags, but when I inquire with the stall merchant, they tell me that they didn't sell to anyone fitting her description. I don't know what's going on, but I continue searching the marketplace, heading down to the end and searching every stall for traces of her scent, only to realize that it's disappeared. I've never felt fear before. I've never felt anxiety or panic or worry, and now I'm feeling it for the first time. Sadie is gone, and I feel frightened for her. Someone must have taken her. I feel anger rush inside me. I know what anger is. I'm familiar with anger and with the desire to kill. Setting off, I begin to run around the market, trying everything in my power to pick up her scent. If I can just find her, maybe I'll realize that I let myself feel fear for no reason. She has to be here. She couldn't have gotten far. No one took her. That is just me being obsessed with making certain she is safe. She wouldn't leave, so therefore she is still here. Deciding to journey further into the city itself for a moment, I search some of the nearby shops for traces of her scent. It's possible that she decided to duck into a shop instead. Maybe she didn't like any of the options here for something she needed, so she went to a shop to find it. But there's no trace of her here. Not even the lingering scent of her. She didn't come here, and the further I venture from the market, the more certain I am that she definitely didn't come this way. She wouldn't have gone so far from me. What is happening? Why is she missing? Did someone really take her? I can't get a grip on my emotions. I feel as though I'm on the verge of losing control. I need to find Sadie right now. Is it possible she left? A little voice in the back of my mind asks. I refuse to believe it. Why would she leave? Because you're a monster, it says. I've never experienced anything like this before. I've never cared what anyone thought of me. Why now? Because you care about her. Because she makes you feel things. And she's scared of you. And she left because you frighten her. No, that isn't true at all. I don't know where this voice is coming from. Sadie feels good around me. She feels safe. She said as much before. She knows that I wouldn't let her dark elf ex-fiancé get a hold of her, and she knows that it's dangerous to be away from my side. So that means she didn't go voluntarily then. That means that someone definitely took her. If she was taken, why didn't she scream? Why didn't she call out? Or was I too far away? Was it possible that the dark elf I saw was merely a distraction to lure her away? I feel the anger returning, overpowering the fear. Good. I need the anger. I need it to consume me so that I can find Sadie. The anger will fuel me onward, will drive me to find whoever did this much faster. Sadie needs me right now. Why did they take her, though? What do they want with her? She's in danger and I'm not there to help her. I feel the anxiety competing with the anger inside me for dominance. What is happening to me? I can't get a hold of myself. My rage bubbles up. I need to eliminate the threat to my mate. I need to kill anyone who laid a hand on her. I feel my instincts rising up. The marketplace is full of humans and dark elves, all of whom might be involved. Without hesitation, I take a deep breath and unleash my inner monster. I will make whoever took her pay. But first, I have to find her. Where is she gone? In a world of elves, demons, and liches.
What would you choose?
Power?
Or passion?
Would you stab the monster in the back?
Or take him to bed?
The immersive fantasy audiobook bundle has it all.
Go to worldsofprotheka.com to get access.
Use code YouTube30 to get an additional 30% off.
Protheka's magic is eternal. Audio bundles will make it immersive.